Brian, the question of the relationship between God, if you believe in God, and the development of evolution is one of the more controversial subjects that exists, certainly between science and scientists and those who profess a belief in some religion. There are obviously different views. What is your take? You obviously have a very different view of the how to understand the cosmos, and so as you look at the arguments for theistic evolution or intelligent design or completely random evolution, where do you come down?
I believe that intelligence may play a role in in how evolution has occurred. And one of the big mistakes that those who attack intelligent design is to regard evolution and God as mutually exclusive. So they say somebody who believes in intelligent design doesn't believe in evolution, but that's not the case. Also, I'd say it's become science has disappeared into something political, really, because the statement that creationism disguised as science is a totally false view of what's happened. I mean, I know some of the people involved in this, and what's happened is that people who, I think in any case, didn't believe in the creationism which has the world created in 5,000 years or so, but did believe that God played a role in creation, thought, can we do anything about this scientifically? So that they therefore said, well, okay, we may have these beliefs, but let's see what science can tell us. And that's what intelligent design actually is. It isn't creationism in disguise at all.
Right. I think there are certainly misconceptions. But if we say that there is some intelligence in the direction of evolution, there are very different ways that could have happened. There could be God, if you want God to be the mind, so intelligent that the way God set the original Big Bang, the initial conditions, and the laws of physics, and it would naturally result. God would not have to do anything other than set the initial conditions as they were. Everything else gravity would eventually form stars, they would become supernova, they would throw out heavy elements, and eventually all of that would sort of work and would happen. Others would say that God throughout the process has to intervene and make little changes here and there in order to direct this evolutionary path. Two very different approaches, even to those people who believe that God is involved in evolution.
Well, I tend to favor the second version, in that it really accords to how we do things. We don't. We use our intelligence to get at various results, but we don't have it all planned. We just have ideas and experiments and see how they go and see how it fits in with what we want the conclusion to be.
So, in your view, some kind of mind is directing through interventions. Now, if that be the case, there's still now a bifurcation in how certain scientists who are believers think. Now we're in the category of believers because now we're saying God directed evolution. Some would say that God has to work within the structure of physical law as it is. So God is not violating God's own law. So you have to sort of look at those joints, as they say, and where is the play? How could God intervene without disturbing the normal process of law? And some people look to quantum mechanics and shifting the wave function or who knows what. Other people would say that, God is God. If he created the laws, it's no problem for him to modify law whenever God wants to in order to make the process work. Yeah, I don't have to worry about conservation of energy or things like that. Which branch do you subscribe to?
Well, I think again the second branch, because it's the way we work ourselves, that we create something which works pretty well, but then we decide that it has a little problem, so we introduce something new.
So some would argue that your claim about God would make God not as perfect because God couldn't get it right the first time.
Well, that may be the nature of God, and I've read a book by Keith Ward which discusses these issues, and he comes up with similar ideas. So it may be that religious people have a conception of God which isn't quite exact, and there's all the time a battle between God and difficulties. So God being all-powerful just means that he has the ability to overcome difficulties, perhaps.
So God being all-powerful doesn't mean that you got it perfect the first time, because maybe it's impossible to get it perfect the first time.
There's also another possible problem with God being all-powerful, in that God may be able to do anything, but then most things may have undesirable conclusions. So therefore, a God who could do everything won't actually do anything. So to find the balance, how to do something that's consistent with all the constraints.
And so that God would still be all-powerful, but not be, by the very nature of reality, not be able to do the all-powerful stuff initially, but needs to intervene from time to time. And that doesn't concern you, that there's a violation of the closed physical system of the physical universe? Because some scientists who are believers are concerned about that.
No, because I think laws are emergent, and so that they're not as rigid as some people propose. But there's a way of putting it anyway, to say that the reality has different levels, and that God works at one level, and physics, traditional physics, at a different level, and so we have to think about how these levels connect.
Right, that's the next question. How do they connect?
We don't as yet have an answer to the details.
But you think that's the right trail?
Yes, I think one will be able to produce theories. Of course, one then comes up against people. I was once strongly attacked by somebody for suggesting that there's a formula which contained God, but I think that isn't the case. I think one can only approximate, and there are infinities that would stop you ever being able to describe God in detail.
And so, but what is your confidence level on a scale of, 0 to 100, that the design of the process of evolution is by some kind of transcendent intelligence?
Well, about 80%, perhaps.
And the implications of that would be staggering.
Materialism would have a hard time. In fact, we're known to be correct.